As of right now, the Cleveland Cavaliers will enter the 2022 NBA Draft with 3 total picks. Their first rounder, with which it could select at 14th or end up with a top 4 selection if lucky, as well as 2 additional second rounders, the 39th and 56th picks overall. And while it's highly unlikely that they keep all 3, I could see a scenario in which they do make 2 picks. The Cleveland-based team currently has 11 players under contract for the 2022-23 season, one of which has a club option in Dean Wade. And that number could rise to 12 if guard Colin Sexton is retained. This means that if no significant deals are struck, that the team will need to fill the remaining roster spots via free agency in the draft. It's no secret that the Cavs could use help at a number of positions, whether that be at the backup 5, wing, or backup point guard. All are areas of need for a team that is heading in the right direction but lacks depth at those key spots. Championship contending organizations all have one thing in common, and that's that they have tremendous depth. And with that said, a player who should be on the Cavs' radar at point guard in the second round of the draft if they strike out on bringing back veteran point guard Ricky Rubio is probably one that most people have never heard of. Meet Dalen, a jumbo-sized point guard out of Arizona who just wrapped up his sophomore season with the Wildcats. After a season in which he averaged 8 points, 4.8 rebounds, 3.9 assists, he was named to the Pac-12 All-Defensive Team as well as honorable mention All-Conference. Dalen, a guard with wing size who plays a pesky brand of defense. This is a highly athletic player who exudes maximum energy all the time. He's very active as a rebounder and could aid a Cavaliers team that features one of the shorter backcourt tandems in the league in Darius Garland and the still unsigned Sexton. He is 6'7", 195 pounds, can defend multiple positions, which seems to be a common trait in this year's crop of draft prospects. He can score off the dribble and attack the basket at will. His 1.4 free throw attempts per game leave a lot to be desired for a player who seems to invite contact at the rim. His free throw percentage went up from 61.4% to 73.6% between his freshman and sophomore seasons though. That does speak to his ability to improve over time, but it's also worth noting that the improvement came with slightly less volume. The Arizona product had a fairly efficient season as he shot 50.2% from the field overall, and he's capable of hitting the 3 ball and did so at the college level just enough to keep defenses honest. He had extremely low volume from range compared to some of his draft peers as he attempted just 2.1 3-pointers per game though. He would need to increase that number in order to be a playable option in such a perimeter-centric league. With his size, it's certainly possible that he enters the league as more of a swingman than a traditional point guard, and offensively speaking, he is still somewhat raw. He generates many of his points in transition, is a fairly above average cutter, and seems to have a knack for finding open lanes to the hoop. Terry is more than capable of operating the pick and roll as well, which is a bread and butter addition to the Cavaliers offense. He does have catch and shoot abilities, which speak to his potential to play off ball. His high basketball IQ allows him to cloak some of his deficiencies as a jump shooter and lack of assertiveness, which is a bit concerning. He may never develop into the type of shot creator that many star-level NBA guards are, but can hold his own and will always look to make the extra pass. On the defensive side of things, his size and length allow him to muck up things for the opposition, as he can defend both on and off ball, which was a big reason why he earned Pac-12 All-Defensive honors. He has all the tools to become an above-average defender at the next level. His 1.2 steals per game don't show just how good of a defender he truly is. He can pick your pocket in an instant as a help defender or face guard you into a bad decision. He finished the 2021-22 season with a defensive rating of 93, which is highly encouraging at his age. And speaking of age, the South Phoenix native will be just 20 years young by the time the 2022-23 season begins. As a developmental piece, he can be brought along slowly and grow into a bigger role over time with the Cavs. Terry is indeed flawed in various aspects, but what second round prospect isn't? He absolutely must improve his jump shot and tends to play a little wild. He would likely need to add a bit of strength and weight to his frame as well. He can often be unselfish to a fault, which would normally be a huge disadvantage, but the Cavs have a lead guard who doesn't hesitate to pull the trigger in Darius Garland, and another very good shot creator in Colin Sexton, assuming he returns. If you throw in Karis LeVert, you really wouldn't need Terry to be so focused on creating for himself, but instead be focused on getting other guys involved. He would likely be available around the range the Cavs will be picking in, and will be a good addition to the team if Rubio isn't brought back, doesn't start the season healthy, or the Cavs aren't able to bring in another option via free agency. But one thing is for certain, and that's that his addition could give head coach JB Bickerstaff an option to throw out there if the starting guards are struggling. Or he could just sit back and develop slowly until he is needed or the team feels he is ready. Hitting on second round picks is difficult to do, but some of the best players of all time were second round picks, from Manu Ginobili to Draymond Green. You just never know when you're going to find the next NBA great.